Hello beautiful internet family, my name is Dan Davis and I'm the creative director here at DansTube.TV, and today I've got the ultimate gimbal buyer's guide. I'm comparing 3 gimbals at 3 distinct price points and functionality, capability, all that kind of stuff. So we've got the Osmo Mobile 6 from DJI, we've got the DJI Ronin SC, and we've got the DJI RS 3 Mini. So these are the 3 gimbals here. We've got the Ronin SC, we've got the DJI Osmo Mobile 6, and then we've got the newly released and extremely impressive DJI RS 3 Mini. This thing is tiny when we compare it to this guy here, which is the Ronin SC. Look at this size difference here. Crazy stuff what they've been able to do with the RS 3 Mini, but that's not saying that this guy isn't an impressive gimbal as well. So we're going to talk about these 3 gimbals here. Let me just get the other one, and I'm going to compare them to let you know what could be the right fit for your workflow. So let's start off with price, and I will have links in the description below to check out these 3 products from DJI's website. The first one is the DJI Osmo Mobile 6. Now there are a bunch, as the name suggests, it's the 6th version, and they've had other versions within their number system, but this is their latest Osmo Mobile offering, and it is the Osmo Mobile 6. Now this guy will set you back $239, but for what it can do, and for the majority of people out there who actually have a decent camera on their smartphone, this could be a really good option for people out there that want to just get a little bit more out of their filming. Maybe you want to capture some cool things when you're out and about with your family, or you just want to take your filming with your phone a little bit more seriously, or maybe you've got like a social media account that you're trying to grow. Something like this could be really cool because it's unbelievably easy to use, and most people have a decent phone, but not everyone has a decent camera system. Moving on to the DJI Ronin SC, and this will set you back $469. All the prices I'm mentioning are Australian dollars, and this is the largest gimbal system out of the 3 that I'll be showing you today. But size is definitely not everything, especially the way that technology goes. They seem to make it more compact and just as impressive as the larger systems. But with the Ronin SC, like I said before with the Osmo Mobile 6, not everyone has a decent camera system. So that means that for something like this, you need to have a camera system. You can't just smack on a phone and then that's it. You actually need to have a decent camera system. So this is more for people that have a professional workflow. Maybe you've got a camera system, you want to improve some of your real estate video, or maybe you're doing some shots where you're capturing like music videos or people exploring the city, like whatever it may be. Maybe you're used to just handheld with your camera and you want to take it to the next level with a stabilized system. The Ronin SC could be that option for you, but 469 Australian dollars for the largest gimbal system on offer today in this video. And like I said, you need a decent camera system to even make this worthwhile. And now for $539, you can get the newly released DJI RS 3 Mini, and this guy packs a punch. Considering its size, it's crazy what this thing can do. So this is the latest offering from DJI in their gimbal lineup. They do have a bunch of other RS3 offerings and RS2s and all sorts of gimbal systems out there, but they do have the RS3 Pro, and then this is kind of like the mini version of the Pro. So it doesn't have as many Pro features, but I would say that maybe this guy for just a little bit more is probably one of the better options out there, especially if you're into traveling. This is the perfect travel companion because of its size, because of its footprint. Like, it's such a tiny little compact system. And I will say that using this for an extended period of time, you do not get as sore as opposed to using this big old system here, which, you can still use this for an extended period of time, but I find that this is a lot more comfortable. The RS 3 Mini is a nice compact system, but you're not losing out on too much getting something like this, which is a little smaller. And sometimes when we think about size, typically we go, oh, well, it's a mini offering, it's not going to have as many features, but I will say that it still does pack a punch. So now let's talk about the weight of each system and also how much payload it can handle. So with the Osmo Mobile 6, This guy weighs 309 grams for the body. That is insanely light when we compare it to the other systems, but you can use this for hours on end and it's not going to be a pain. Like you can even, fold it away, put your phone in your pocket, and then you've got a tiny little system like this that you can almost just kind of swing as you walk in, phone in the other hand, phone in your pocket, whatever you want. Nice and compact, and you don't have to worry about then resetting everything up again, locking in the systems. It's actually insane how easy it is. You literally just unfold it, and it automatically powers on. I don't actually have a phone or the magnetic clamp on, but all you gotta do, put your phone into this clamp, smack it on magnetically, and you are ready to go. And then the other thing is that this system here, because it's designed for phones, it can hold a weight of up to 290 grams. So as long as your phone is not like a massive folding phone, for example, this is going to be able to handle it. So 290 gram payload, and the body itself weighs 309 grams. So now moving on to the big guy here, which is the Ronin SC. This weighs 1.1 kilograms. So let's compare it, 309 grams, 1.1 kilograms. So you would imagine using this for a couple of hours, your arms are going to get extremely sore as opposed to the Osmo Mobile 6. But it can carry a weight, a payload of 2 kilograms. So that means that most mirrorless camera systems will fit on here, depending on your lens, depending on your setup, but 2 kilograms is decent, and you can get most mirrorless cameras on here, but you just got to think about that weight of 1.1 kilograms for the whole unit itself. So when we talk about the weight of the RS3 Mini, this guy weighs 795 grams when it's in portrait mode, when it's in that vertical mode, and when it's in horizontal mode, it's going to weigh 850 grams. So that just depends on the system you've got on here, the plates and the way it's all set up. And this guy can actually hold 2 kilograms as well. So it's got a payload of 2 kilograms. So when you think about that, like the same capabilities in the sense of like how much it can handle, but look at the size difference here. It's actually insane. And the weight difference as well, going from 1.1 kilograms on this guy here to 850 if you're shooting horizontally on the RS3 Mini. So diving into your typical kind of workflow. So as I alluded to before, the Osmo Mobile 6 is ideal for people that just want to set up and shoot straight away. Now, it is insanely easy to start capturing on this thing. So you've got this magnetic clip here that you extend out, put your phone in, and then immediately when you snap that open, it turns on, you can hear it beep, and then I can snap my phone system on straight away, and I've got the gimbal ready to go instantly. Like you don't have to worry about calibrating each individual motor and worrying about if it's weighted perfectly. Like that's the thing that makes the Osmo Mobile 6 perfect for so many people. And if you do have a decent phone, like let's say you don't have a decent camera system, but you've got one of the latest iPhones or a new HTC or Samsung, whatever it may be, then you're probably going to have a better camera system on that than you have around the house. So in that situation, you're probably going to benefit a lot by having your phone mounted to a gimbal just to get even more out of the system. So again, just think about your workflow. Think about why you're using this. Like if you're going to a corporate gig and you're in real estate or you're doing content with an artist, this probably isn't going to cut the mustard. It's going to look a little bit odd with your iPhone. I mean, still, when you rock up with the brand new iPhone, like it can capture insane footage, so it's more of a perception thing. But if you rock up with a brand new camera system on a gimbal like this, you're going to look a lot more professional and you're going to be taken a lot more seriously. So again, just think about it. If you're just traveling, you're not taking video too seriously, you just want to get some smoother shots and maybe get into some different kind of experimental video with your phone, then the Osmo Mobile 6 is ideal for that because it's so easy to set up and it still has a bunch of cool features on it. Where if we look at these two gimbal systems here, they are definitely a lot more involved. So firstly, you need to have a camera system that you're happy with. So that's going to take some time to get used to, like how you want to use it, what settings you want to have on it, and all of that fun stuff. Where if you're using your phone, most of the time you just take it out, take a photo, take a video, and it's fine. So if you've got a new camera system, you're gonna firstly have to set up the settings and play around with that. So again, it is more of a professional thing if you're gonna use one of these guys. And then you've really got to figure out the balancing system here. So that's where it can become quite challenging. And I still, sometimes get stumped up on this myself. Like you've got to get that right balance point. So you've got 3 different motors that you can lock. And as you unlock them, you need to basically get the calibration and the weighting right. So basically, as you're unlocking it, you're just kind of making sure that the camera system isn't leaning forward or back, and you're trying to get that right balance point. And then you unlock the next motor, get the right balance point again, unlock the final motor, get the balance point right again, and then you typically would want to set the system down and then calibrate it for what you've set it up for, so then it knows, the weight on it and how to kind of counter the weight as you're moving. So that can be quite an involved process, and especially for the first handful of times, it's going to take you some time to get it perfect. But once you've got it set up, you can lock the motors, you can lock everything in its position. So then if you're using the same camera system, you just clip it onto this plate here, put your camera on every single time, and theoretically, it should be fine to go immediately. But then you've got to remember, what happens if you want to use a new lens? Well, then you've got to calibrate everything again to make sure that it's counteracting that additional top-heavy weight of the lens. So sometimes I found that even if I just had the lens cap on the camera system, it would be just enough weight that it would topple over a little bit. But once I removed the lens cap, it was like, okay, well, I'm happy with that weight because I calibrated it when I didn't have the lens cap on. So something tiny like that, like a minute change, could change the way that you're going to set up the system. Even if you have like a microphone on top, or let's say you have your phone on top, again, you're going to have to calibrate everything for this system here. So it's definitely a lot more involved if you're going to get yourself one of these more professional gimbal systems. Talking about battery life now, there are some differences here between the three systems. So on the Osmo Mobile 6, you're getting 6 hours of battery life. Now that's the quoted battery life you're getting on DJI's website. Again, it's going to depend on the phone you're using, the environment you're in, how much wind is pushing on the motors, how full on you're going. Like it's going to obviously depend, but up to 6 hours on this unit. And again, for most people, it probably won't be like a professional setting. You're just going to be traveling, exploring a new location, and just filming with this guy. So 6 hours is definitely enough for most people. But when we think about a more professional setup and maybe doing a shoot all day, or maybe your job is video, then you need extra battery life. So you're getting 11 hours with the Ronin SC and 10 hours on the RS3 Mini. Again, this is quoted on DJI's website through the spec section on both of these gimbals. So it will completely depend on the camera system, the weight load, what you're doing with it, all of that crazy stuff. But still, it's a significant bump up over the Osmo Mobile 6, so you are getting a lot more battery life here. And that makes sense because it is a professional setup and you want to be using this typically in more of a corporate setting. So another cool feature of the Osmo Mobile 6 is you get an extension rod. So you can literally get an additional amount of length on your shot. So if you want more of a kind of aerial shot pointing down, let's say, like you want to capture something overhead, or you're in a crowd and you just want to lift it up, then this makes it nice and easy because it's built into the system. You don't have to add anything or do anything. It's just built into the gimbal. So that makes it nice and easy. And you've got an adjustable, almost ballpoint head on the top here. So you can adjust that angle if you really want to, and get all crazy fun angles with additional length on the system. But that being said, I mean, if we look at the Ronin SC here, it kind of works out to be the same length when we've just got it with the little mini tripod on the bottom here. So if we didn't have the mini tripod, you would obviously get a little bit more height with this, but once it's all set up the way it should be, and you've got the extension rod out, they're pretty much the same height looking at the SC and the Osmo Mobile 6. Both of these systems, the RS3 Mini and the Ronin SC, they don't have an extension rod, but they do have these little tripod mounted, mini tripod mounted systems here, so you can plop it down to do calibrations. But I also find it's handy just to hold on to as an additional grip, so that's really handy. But that also means that you can mount anything to the bottom here, so you can put a different tripod or whatever you want here, and that does apply to the Osmo Mobile 6 as well, because it's literally just like a screw-in base, so you can just mount anything you want. You could have this on a tripod, set it up, and then start active tracking you with your phone system. So that makes it nice and easy, and they are all pretty flexible in that sense, where you can add on different accessories to the base. So when we talk about stabilization now, that's the main reason why you would want a gimbal system like this. The RS3 Mini does have the 3rd generation RS stabilization algorithm. Now, for most people, that doesn't mean anything at all, but if we compare it to the SC, this has got the 1st generation stabilization algorithm. So in the sense of this being a more advanced, more future-proofed product, the RS3 Mini is using more advanced stabilization kind of algorithms to make sure that it's getting the best stabilized footage for you. So I would say that once they're both set up, they do look very similar. They're both stable, and you need to get the setup right, the weight right, obviously the balance right to make sure that you're getting the most stable footage. But both the RS3 Mini and the Ronin SC have great stabilization, but the Mini actually has more advanced stabilization with that 3rd gen. And I find because it's more of a compact design as well, I just find that it's a lot easier to set up my camera system, and especially the way that kind of I was getting used to setting it up, I found it a lot easier to set up on here because that quick release plate is a lot easier than the other plate system, which is just a little bit longer here. There's a lot more fiddling. Again, you are going to get used to it, and most people are gonna probably comment and say like, well, it's easy to set up, but that's because you're used to it, right? So again, you can figure out how to make it work in your workflow. But for me, I find the RS3 Mini a lot easier to set up, and I find the stabilization better than the SC here. So when we look at the Osmo Mobile 6, so completely different kind of technology has gone onto this, and also the motor systems would not be as advanced because they're obviously not dealing with as much weight. But I would say, like, even though the stabilization is great and passable in most situations, it's definitely not as advanced as the other 2 gimbal systems. They're definitely a lot smoother. But again, because this is so easy to set up, you are probably more consistently for the early days going to get more consistent footage, more reliable stabilization on this gimbal system. And again, if you're not into like a professional space, if you're not getting paid for video, then this is probably enough for most people. All 3 gimbals have apps that you can access, but when we're looking at the screen or the options on the system itself without an app, we have a very basic screen here that lets you know like the modes that you can switch between. So on the Osmo Mobile 6, very basic setup here. It is nice to have that little menu interface, so as you tap it, it kind of gives you an icon to let you know what mode you're in, but that's as far as it goes on the Osmo Mobile 6. And then with the SC, again, you can use an app to customize it even more, but you've got no screen here. You can just go between 3 different modes here. You got a few other buttons here that you can use, but again, very basic in the sense that you're just using it as it is, and then if you want to get more out of it, you have to use the app. But a major benefit of the RS3 Mini is that it has a built-in 1.4-inch LCD touchscreen. And I will say the touchscreen is very responsive. It makes it a lot easier to just switch between modes. It makes it a lot easier to calibrate the system. Like, yes, you can press and hold a button combination to calibrate on the SC, but to have it on the screen, to be able to see exactly what's happening, what the gimbal's counteracting, like it is a pretty basic offering, and the menu doesn't show you too much, but it is nice to have that touchscreen, and I would say that's a big selling point here, especially if you don't want to use the app. This just makes it so much easier. The RS3 Mini and the SC both have a few different button options here. So we've got like triggers on the back to, you know, either flip the camera around or to press and hold to lock it out as you're moving. You know, you can double tap to center it back to that middle point. There's a few other options, and then you've also got like the joysticks to obviously move the camera system as well. But then we have like recording options here. So with the recording options, if we're talking about the SC, you have to have a cable connected into your camera and then into the system if you want to use that record button. But on the RS3 Mini, you've actually got Bluetooth shutter options. So that means that the shutter button, the record button, and the photo button, I guess, can be used basically just connected via Bluetooth. It's not compatible with every camera, so make sure you check the compatibility list. But if you've got a camera that's compatible, you can connect it up via Bluetooth, start recording straight away, and that makes your workflow a hell of a lot easier. With the Osmo Mobile 6, I found that all the button options actually worked really easily, especially with my iPhone. I haven't used it with any other Android device, but on iPhone, smooth, seamless. I can press the record button, it records. As long as I'm going through the actual application, the official application, I can record, I can change the orientation, I can switch cameras, I can do all of that with this, with the tap of a button. You don't have to worry about anything else. And the other cool thing about the Osmo Mobile 6 is you have this additional wheel on the side here, which is a new addition to the Osmo Mobile range, and allows you to adjust the focus as well as the zoom. So if you've got one of the new iPhones that's got decent zoom and a really awesome camera system, that focus wheel, that zoom wheel, whatever you program it to, is going to add a lot more dynamic footage and movement as you are capturing what you are capturing. With the two pro gimbal systems, we'll call them here, the SC and the RS3 Mini, they've both got a bunch of different options. Like I said, there's the app where you can get even more features. There's so many different accessories and add-ons that you can get for these two systems here. But just on face value, when we're talking about like capturing video, they both do a great job. They both stabilize the footage, which is the main reason why you would get a stabilizer. And they're both 3-axis gimbals. They're both very reliable. And even though this system has, you know, only slightly smaller motors, But because technology has advanced so much, and obviously DJI are constantly on the cutting edge of technology, they've been able to do something here that can match, definitely can match, and at times improves over the SC. So even though it's smaller, even though certain things are more compact, I would say the RS3 Mini, even though it's slightly more expensive, this is definitely the one to get out of the 3 gimbal systems. If you have a decent camera and you want to take video a little bit more seriously, you've got a new mirrorless camera maybe, this is definitely the one to get over the SC. But again, if you're not taking video too seriously, like maybe you don't even have a camera yet, this is probably the one to start off with, because you've probably got a half decent phone laying around and you can get used to the movements of a gimbal. You can even use like active track in here. There's spin shot modes, there's FPV modes, there's all different modes that you can unlock with the Osmo Mobile 6, nice and easy to utilize, and it does work like that, like just instantly sets up. You don't have to worry about any form of crazy setup, calibration, anything like that. It just seems to set it up and go immediately, which is one of the reasons I love this system, and it makes it a lot easier, especially for me. Like, I don't do too much gimbal content on the channel. I'm not really using gimbals for any sort of corporate work. It would be completely different if I was, then this guy wouldn't be the recommended thing. But for my workflow, like, this is the one I would use in most situations, just for some basic B-roll if I'm filming something for another video. Like, this is going to be a lot easier for me. Otherwise, I'm just going to use the camera handheld, and I probably don't need a gimbal system for my workflow. But again, just ask yourself, what are you going to be using the gimbal for? Why do you need a gimbal? And that will help you identify, you know, the reasons why you need one of these 3 gimbals, or maybe you need all 3, or maybe you just need 2, who knows? But you know, it's really dependent on your needs and what you're doing. The other 2 gimbals do have like a few other options, like the SC does have Active Track 3.0 and the RS3 Mini has subject tracking. But you know, when it comes down to it, they all have their own unique offering. They're at different price points, and they kind of do have a different need base depending on what you're doing. But I would say the 2 winners of this video, so this guy here, the Osmo Mobile 6, is the best like beginner-friendly gimbal system if you have a half-decent phone. And then I would say the RS3 Mini is the one to get if you've got a decent mirrorless system. Let's say you've got a decent mirrorless camera, then this is going to be perfect. Like, especially for traveling, it's just insane what this thing can do. It's very compact, very lightweight, but also extremely powerful. And a payload of 2 kilos, like, you can fit a fair few cameras on this system and get reliable, smooth footage. So I'd say these 2 are the winners here. The SC gets an honorable mention, but go for this one if you're going to get a gimbal system for sure. And if you're not too serious, then I'd say the Osmo Mobile 6. So anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I will talk to you in the next video, and peace out.